Hey.
Hey. How goes it out there?
Yeah, good. I brought you some supplies. No one's noticed that you're here, so don't worry. No one knows you're here.
Not even him.
No, I would know. I would know if they knew. So
Yeah.
It's okay. Don't worry. I should get going though, because they'll notice if I'm gone for too long. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good luck out there, and I'll be here. I'll be here.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my gosh. These have got to be the most beautiful mountains I have ever seen in Minecraft. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Avid Adventures episode 31. And if you remember at the time, I told you guys I didn't know which mountain on the server was my favorite. The one that we had made or the mountain just behind it that our very good best friend Zeplington made. Now the thing is, Zeplington maybe took that as a challenge because, well, he made this. And at first glance, it already looks amazing. But then when you get up close, you notice these details that just no other creative builder is doing right now. Like, one of my favorite things is what Zeplington did with the water in this build. If you notice, he actually changed the biome to pale garden for the top part of the water. And then it changes to a biome that has a bit more blue water. And then where the water stagnates a little and like creates this little swampy pond, he made it a swamp biome. Like, okay, you win, Zep. You win. But what he doesn't know is that I put a giant bird named Duncan inside of one of his mountains. Bet you didn't expect me to do that, huh, Zeplington? Oh, you're such a sweetie. But honestly, it's not a competition between whose mountain is better. Everybody wins when you build amazing things together. Now, he also made this gorgeous house on stilts, and I just love the way he used the different colored stained glass. Oh my gosh, and the interior. You know me, I love a good summoning circle. And yeah, I think he might have even made this cabin over here. I don't know though. This doesn't really have any of like Zeplington's building calling cards. There's not nearly enough moss and decay in it. It's almost like something I would build. And then in here, there's some cats and dogs. What's your little name, guy? Oh my gosh, your name's Stinky, just like Viking. Huh. Wow, whoever made this cabin, they really made it look like someone's actually living here. I wonder if there's anything upstairs. Huh. Well, whoever built this, I love it. They left the door open, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's just so cool to see people popping on the server and making such cute little builds. Now, I'll admit, it's been a couple weeks since my last episode, and that's because I've been moving. And for any of you who've moved, you know that it is a completely exhausting process. And so I haven't had a chance to make videos, but I have been streaming on the server at least 2 to 3 times a week. And that is because I'm trying to get this server ready for a patron release. Now, in order to do that, we need to fly down here beneath the ocean to my super secret to-do room. And in it is my super not so secret to-do board. Now, this board is keeping track of all of the different quests and minigames on the server. Any quest that is completed, I've highlighted with glow squid ink. Any quest or minigame that has been tested in 1.21.4 has an acacia log behind it. And once we're done testing out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's it. 5 more things, I'm going to release this map to patrons and channel members. And when I'm done with this entire to-do board and we've subjected the patrons and channel members to all of the bugs that are most certainly going to be there, I'm going to release this map to the world for free. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be testing out the Smash Bros. Arena, and we are going to be heading to the place it all began. The place known as Vilethorn. Now, fortunately, I've got a couple of friends online, and I'm going to try to take advantage of that. So let's head on over to the Smash Bros. Arena and see if it's horribly broken. This was a project I worked on like probably a year and a half ago, and honestly, it's one of the coolest mini games I have on the server. Now, the problem with this mini game is I can't test it alone. And yes, if you're looking, that is Pokemon Stadium. That is the Pokemon Stadium Arena. You know, the one where like the stage changes and everything. And so we're probably gonna have to bring some some friends over here to help me test. And thankfully we've got a bunch of people online tonight. Now, one thing I am noticing that I'm not sure if it's working or not is these villagers should be doing the wave, but I'm seeing them get the particle effects, but it doesn't seem like it's launching them into the air. Why? Or you're not excited to watch this anymore? So I guess that's something I'm gonna have to fix, but that'll be after we test it out with our friends. Doing a cut. We're gonna cut to right here. I forgot that you're tall.
Well, yeah, I made all of our heights different. That's right.
This is our IRL height difference, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Oh.
You are just a large human. This will actually be a disadvantage for you. But anyways, welcome friends.
That's okay. Y'all need it.
Welcome friends to the Smash Bros. Arena. This is a mini game that I made a while ago, and it has some really cool features that could all be horrifically broken. I have no idea. So the class that you have here, one is the Way of the Archer. You get a bow. One is the Way of the Warrior, and you get a sword. Now, the second thing is we need to pick our double jump. We have rocket jump, feather float, and instant transmission. I'm an instant transmission kind of guy, so I'm gonna probably pick that one. You have to hit shift when you're in the air, and I can detect that you crouch. So that's how you double jump. Yeah.
Okay.
So instant transmission, you'll just teleport to where you're pointed, about I think 7 or 8 blocks. Feather float is kind of like Fox and Falco's up B, where like they like kind of charge up and it's really slow, but it makes you go a far distance. And then rocket jump is probably more like, ooh, who would rocket jump be like?
I'm thinking Marth.
Marth, yeah. So it's a bit more of like, it can kill you, but if you know how to wield it, it's really good. All right. So now that everyone's picked their classes, I'm gonna quickly grab the arena token, and we're gonna hop into this door right here. One person stands on the left side, and then push that button. Here goes.
3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
No.
So a couple of things that are really cool about this. I just saved. Did I save myself or did I die? Your hits do more knockback based on how much damage the other player has that you're attacking. So yeah, it basically changes out your sword or your bow for either knockback or a punch, more punch, if the player has more damage. And then the stage changes just like the original Pokemon. Oh my gosh, this is chaos.
I'm out. I've teleported into this void. Yeah, I wasn't playing it in a while.
Oh, crud. I used a potion wrong. I threw it on the ground with Q instead of actually using it. Why did my brain do that? So, like, we all have resistance 5, so we can't actually take any damage, and then I just keep track of damage resisted, and I keep that on a score on the side. Ooh, fire stage.
Nice.
That's so fun.
Yeah, and then basically whenever you're looking at a player who, and then I put you on a certain team based on how much damage you have. Oh, do these work? I'm putting landmines down. Don't make me do it. Okay, all right. I'm gonna hit you with a super fart. Yes, super fart kill! Super fart kill! No! This is how gaming works. Oh,
Bam!
what? Dang it, Vintage! It seems to be working. Man, we keep getting the dirt stage.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I got a kill in. Nice.
I want the water stage. Yeah! Okay, what do we got? What's the item? Oh, yeah. Health potion. Oh, I got myself.
I got speed.
Oh.
Here we go. Come on, give me a W. Oh, this is the water stage. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
the water is a pain to work with. Okay.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I'm in a...
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. That's my...
That happens. There's no fixing that. You're in the windmill. That's been a bug for a while. Hey, no. Oh, man. man. Thanks, guys, so much for testing. I guess everything worked. So
no
now
worries.
I'm going to go on to the next thing I probably plan to work on today because I definitely know what that is. Guys, honestly, I forgot how much fun playing in this arena with friends is. In fact, we were having so much fun, we just decided to stick around and play a few more games. And honestly, like, everything worked perfectly. And another bit of good news is how Zeke figured out what was going wrong with the villagers and why they weren't doing the wave. If you guys remember, I actually do this with a command block minecart. I had been trying for years to figure out a real use for these things. Hey, wait up, I gotta show them the command. Wait, just slow down. And the main problem with the command was that the area of effect command wasn't updated correctly. And so basically once we figured that out, everything kind of snapped into place. Now, another thing that I really want to show you guys, for those who haven't seen the original video, all of the stages are contained in this area just below the arena. And the way that I get the stages to load in incrementally is actually using a trick with structure blocks. For those who don't know what structure blocks are, they're basically a vanilla Minecraft way to load and save builds in your world. They have a ton of limitations, like they can only do an area of 48 by 48 by 48 on Java. And one really cool feature about structure blocks is you can actually set this thing called the structure integrity and seed. And if you set this number here to anything less than 1, what it does is it only loads a certain percentage of those blocks. So you can make this really cool effect where if you set that number to higher and higher values, it's going to load more and more of the stage. And that's how I achieve the effect of making the stage look like it's slowly rendering in. And also, I have made a mess of this mountain here. Now, the good thing about being over here by the arena is we are actually right next to the Citadel. And I keep saying this, but we need to give this little town a major facelift. These are some old builds. I mean, what is this birthday cake looking thing back here with no detail on the outside? But yes, just here in the Citadel, we need to head to the top floor because this is where you can get a compass that points you to the Vilethorn quest, which I believe is given by this guy, Dalos. Good sir, I'm trying to get to Rosewood.
Rosewood? I think you mean Vilethorn.
Sure.
There is no more Rosewood.
There's no more Rosewood.
Did I stutter? You don't want to go there.
I don't?
No, obviously, but, you know, if you want to, I guess you're gonna need this. Enjoy. Good luck. You know, I made a big deal out of it, but you'll be fine.
Now, Dalos has given us a compass, a bloody compass, and he's given us a tower fragment. So what we need to do is follow the compass to some kind of travel point, use the tower fragment, get to Rosewood, and then we can start on the quest. Now, the compass points in this direction, which I believe is right around where Crescent Bay is. And as I'm heading in this direction, I can see some changes happening in the snowy area. What is all this kelp? What is this? You know, at this point, I've stopped asking questions. It could be due to some of the terraforming changes happening over here. Now, my buddy Leon SBU, also known as the father of the haunted castle build here on the server, he claimed this entire snowy area in the southern part of the map. You know, as a good penguin would do. And it looks like he's already been pretty busy. He's like working on the rivers, and he's got a giant hole here, and he's smoothed out all of the terrain. And actually, the other day on a live stream, I worked on these mountains in the background. Because you know what? Somebody's got to try to keep up with Zeplington. Even still, these aren't as good. And up close, it does kind of look like a mess. I've even got some stripped pale oak wood in here. But as you get further away, you can start to see how those blocks blend together to make this look like a kind of a dirty snow texture. Now, another thing I did comes from the fact that I live in Colorado, and I happen to know a thing or two about mountains. And one thing that happens for mountains at high elevations is even though they have snow on them, the sun up here is just ridiculously strong. And so what the sun tends to do on these tall mountains is it melts the snow, and as the water drips down, it freezes instantly by the low temperatures and high wind. And so you start to get these very blue, picturesque ice waterfalls. And you know, since this episode is turning into kind of a war of the mountains, so to speak, Marmalade and I have been working on these really cool blue coastal mountains. You see, because these mountains are blue, I wanted them to have these tube coral blocks, but you know how coral dies if it's not touching water. So I thought to myself, well, what if I fill these mountains with water, you know, so the tube coral stays alive? And then that gave me another idea of what if we fill them entirely with this like lush underwater landscape. And as players swim through this landscape, there are tubes that connect the different sections of the mountains together. And if you go all the way around the spiral here, there's a little bit of loot here. And that way players feel a little sense of accomplishment in swimming all the way to the end of these mountains. Oh, hey. All right. Well, as much as I want to gawk about all the different types of mountains on this server, we really need to get back to Rosewood / Vilethorn. And if I follow the compass, I believe the travel point is right here in Crescent Bay. Yep. This is the guy. This here. So I believe if I don't have the tower fragment in my hand, if I try to get in this car, oh, you're gonna go? Would you get out? Guys, I don't think I'm gonna be able to test Rosewood today. All right, hurry. Now, yes, okay. If I don't have the tower fragment in hand, it kicks me out of the cart. But if I do, I'm just sneaking fast. If I do...
You're the first traveler I've seen in a while. Vilethorn doesn't get many visitors these days. That is, ever since it became Vilethorn. You see, Vilethorn used to be called Rosewood, and Rosewood was a beautiful place. Still is during the day. But at night, the curse takes hold. You best avoid Vilethorn at night.
And we have arrived at Vilethorn. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where it all began. Right here in this exact spot is where the first episode of Avid Adventures was shot. And I said something along the lines of, ladies and gentlemen, today is no ordinary day. No, today is the first episode of Avid Adventures where, you guessed it, we build adventure maps. I can't believe that was almost 3 years ago now today. And over the course of a couple episodes, we built this amazing area known as Rosewood. We didn't have fancy schmancy tools like Axiom or World Edit. Everything was done by hand, and I had no idea what I was getting into. Now, the town itself is the first layer of the Vilethorn quest. And if I'm honest, there are some bugs that I kind of swept under the rug that we are 100% going to fix today. Now, in order to show you those bugs, we kind of need to change the scenery. And the way we do that is we set the time to midnight. And what that means is, well, the entire town turns into this. Now, the story of Vilethorn is that this town was cursed, and every single night it transforms into this horribly cursed version of itself, except for the mansion, which isn't even visible during the daytime. Let's get inside before these guys bother us too much. Now, inside of the mansion is a jumping puzzle. If you guys have ever seen these puzzles before, whenever you jump on a block here, oh, it does work. Okay, good. The red blocks turn into blue blocks, and the blue blocks turn into red blocks in like a plus pattern below my feet. Now this is all fine and good, but this isn't how Vilethorn used to work. You see, there are these towers, or at least the destroyed ruins of these towers. You know what, actually, let me see if I can turn them on. Can I figure out how to do that is the question. Okay, so maybe if I disable this one, okay, and then I set it back to midnight. All right, so now we have the swirling particle effects, and the mansion isn't there, but our towers are still hidden. Hold on a second. Oh, wow, I really did. Okay, I actually moved the structure blocks. I'm understanding now. I think I put it here? No. I put it here, and then I assume I need to put some redstone dust there. I am very skeptical that this is actually gonna work, but let's set it to midnight and see if the towers come back. Oh yeah, the only thing that's missing now are these armor stands are supposed to make a particle effect. Now, what I used to do is I had a particle that would go from the top of the tower to the mansion. And the way that I did that was I had this armor stand here, and I would essentially use this armor stand with ray casting to make that work. But since then, we've evolved as command blockers, and I actually have a much simpler solution. So there are actually certain particles where when you set the count of the particles, this last number here, to 0, you can actually get them to draw along along a straight line. I don't know why this is how this works, but Minecraft is Minecraft. And basically what that means is instead of needing an entity to draw this particle line, I can just use these last 3 numbers. If I set the Y number to 1, it should shoot a particle up into the air like that. Nice. Now we don't want that. Where's that go? Okay, almost. Yep, that looks good. And the last thing is maybe turning the speed down from like a 5 to a 3. Yeah. Oh, that looks perfect. So that does mean we can get rid of these 2 completely unnecessary commands now. And now we just need to do that for the other 3 towers. So let me do that and then I'll be right back. And there we go. That really completes the visual effect that these towers are somehow responsible for this swirling, missing mansion. Now, before I go about finishing these towers, rumor has it there's a brand new town cropping up on the server just next to Ebonglade. So let's head on over there now and see if there's anything that we can add to it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Blytheburg or Blithburg, tomato potato. This town is located just north of the Ebonglade Mountain, and my goal today is to try to anchor it into the environment around it. Maybe add a nice wall around the town, add some foliage, and really bring that darkness that Slipador, the data packer who made this town, was envisioning when he made it. Now, in the center of this town is this big sword, and I want to try to create a story around it. Now, as I mentioned, the first thing I did was work on the wall, and what I did was I put down a layer of pink wool to keep track of the foundation of the wall. Then I created these posts of different wood types and spread them out on the foundation in a nice random way. I tried to add some visual interest by creating this sort of variation on top of the post, whether it be with fences, stairs, and then I anchored the post into the ground using a bunch of rocks and cobblestone. After that, I started to add trees, and I maybe added too many trees, especially inside of the town. But trust me, it does get a lot better. Now, the story of the town, at least in my head, is that this giant sword fell from the sky, and it's sort of sucking the life from everything around it. And the wall around the town contains the sword's magic. Now, as an added feature, I was told that Blytheburg is a bunch of smiths, so naturally they're probably selling their goods throughout the land. So I added one of Vintage Applesauce's diagonal ships, and then I realized it probably couldn't turn around, so I made a lake for it. And here we are now, Blytheburg, or Blithburg? Enjoy your stay. Oh, how nice of them. Now you enter the town and you have this awesome view of the sword, and the color contrasts with the environment around it so nicely. Like the buildings have all of these dark tones. The biome itself is a pale garden, and pretty much everywhere you look, you have some kind of gray tone. Now, another thing I love is every now and then you can see the Ebonglade Mountain just pop up over the horizon. And this town also has some really interesting visual variety on the minimap. All in all, I am ridiculously happy with Blytheburg. Color me Thurblithed. This is a great... Okay, now I love how these towers look. And I also love the mechanic that you need to destroy them in order to make the mansion visible. But there's a really good reason as to why I had these towers disabled. Here, let me show you. Each of these towers is meant to be a combat challenge. Players go inside the tower, they step on this pressure plate, which turns on the tower, and they're awful. They're awful. That's not fun. So not only were these towers ridiculously difficult, but also players would lose almost all of their items in these towers, like all the time. Because honestly, aside from the monsters, these things are really cool. As you defeat the different layers of the tower, you get teleported up to higher levels. And when you defeat the last monster, you get these snowballs and a message that says destroy the crystal. You throw it up at the end crystal, and boom, you get a little bit of loot from the tower. Now, in order to combat the problem of people losing their items, I made it so that your items would show up in the chest at the end of the tower, but that still required you to beat the tower without all of your best items. And what's worse is when it became daytime, all of your items were now gone forever. That's not good. This is bad game design. And I think it boils down to the fact that these towers are just punishingly difficult. So let's see here, just beneath the tower, and wow, this is This is a mess. This is really awful. And I'm just gonna delete everything. I think most of this is actually useless now. Goodbye, all this junk. And after a lot of cleanup, this is all that's left of that disgusting, cluttered command block room. All right, guys, so I made the changes to all 4 of the towers, and I'm really excited to show off how they work now. And one thing that's important is players are now going to have to bring their own ranged items to destroy the towers, rather than the towers just like giving players snowballs arbitrarily. Now, usually players are going to have a bow on them, but if they forget, I added a trade to Ryo over here where you can get 16 snowballs for 1 blood clot. So then when it becomes midnight and the towers come out, they can head on in and use their snowballs to destroy each one of them one by one. And after players destroy the last tower, we see a message that says, "Behold, the mansion," and the mansion appears. And you're probably thinking to yourself, Avid, that's a lot to do in the 10 minutes that is the Minecraft night. And honestly, I think you would have been right before. Fighting all of those monsters and then doing the mansion puzzle, it definitely would have taken longer than 10 minutes. And so that's why I came up with this handy dandy thing called the Wand of Midnight. When this wand is held in the player's main hand, and it should work in the offhand, but it doesn't, I have to fix that, the game is permanently set to midnight. So once players find this wand, the first layer of this quest is actually pretty easy. But here's the deal. I hate the Wand of Midnight, and so does everybody else. And that's really for several reasons. The first is, should we really give players unrestricted access to setting the time to midnight permanently whenever they want? That feels a bit overpowered. The second reason is because the chests inside of these houses are filled with valuables, and every single night those valuables are refilled. So picture a scenario where some player is somewhere on the map is sleeping to set the time back to day, and then another cheaty player is standing inside one of the houses setting it back to night. What this means is players can essentially get infinite loot in Vilethorn, and also they can give everyone on the server a headache by constantly setting the time back to night and day and night and day, and it's awful. It's not a mechanic that I really want to support on a multiplayer server. Now, with the towers being made a lot easier, I do think players can solve this puzzle in the 10 minutes of nighttime that they get. So I think I'm going to change how the Wand of Midnight works, and in order to do that, we need to head back to our master command block to-do room, and that should do it. So without a lot of added complexity, I think I've improved the Wand of Midnight a bit. And basically the way that it works is fairly simple. It no longer sets the time to midnight permanently, so that's a major improvement. And now, whenever a player is holding the Wand of Midnight in either their main hand or their offhand, it completely prevents other players from sleeping on the map. So if you notice there, I get a message in my chat that says, Avid MC is preventing you from sleeping. That seems to work pretty well. And so now in a multiplayer setting, players should be able to at least complete the first layer of Vilethorn in a single Minecraft night. Speaking of that, how about we do that right now? A 1, 2, a 3, and a 4. Behold, the mansion. Okay, so heading on into the mansion here, why are there lightning rods? Did I just do this? Heading into the mansion, as I mentioned, there's a puzzle here on the floor. Players should be able to find clues on how to solve this puzzle. And if they explore enough, what they'll also find is the poor, frozen mayor of Rosewood. It looks like he's in some kind of stasis. You see, poor Din was punished the worst out of anyone in the town. Every night he has to stand up here completely frozen and see the horrors that have befallen his town. And during the day when the town functions normally, he's in some kind of ether dimension where he doesn't really exist entirely. Don't worry, Din. We're gonna save you, I promise. Now, of course, players can loot this mansion as much as they want, but really, we're here to solve the puzzle. Come on. Let's go. Explode. Come on. Do it. Blow up. Don't kill me. Yeah. Okay, perfect, great. Now our goal here, like I said, is to solve the puzzle. So we need to jump on this puzzle in order to get this to form some kind of shape. Now you guys are gonna have to figure out how to beat this puzzle on your own. So I'm gonna quickly solve it, and then hopefully everything works, and we will be right back. All right, and that should be the last one. And yes, look at that, we've been granted a key to the catacombs. And believe it or not, that is the first layer of the Vilethorn quest line. Wow, that's That's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on there. No. Okay, so now we can use the catacombs key to head down into this very ominous looking doorway. And we delve deeper into the secrets of Vilethorn and the Vilethorn quest. Take nothing with you, leave nothing behind. And we enter the Vilethorn dungeon. Ah, the checkpoint room. It's been a minute since I've been here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is an entire roguelike dungeon that I created using vanilla Minecraft mechanics and command blocks. And actually just flying out here for a second, you can get a sense of the scale of this thing and the complexity. There are like 36 different rooms that you can be teleported to. Each room has its own puzzle and problem to solve. And there's both a light and dark path boss. Now, I am super excited to play this roguelike dungeon, but before I do, there is a glaring problem with it. And that has to do with this chest monster behind me. When you play through the Vilethorn dungeon, you eventually make your way back to this checkpoint room. And in order to save your progress, you can dump your items in any one of these chests. You see here, Fool has quite a lot of items in here, it seems. Now this is great, except for a couple of pretty massive problems. The first of which is there's nothing really stopping players from, dipping into somebody else's chest and giving themselves an unfair advantage. But also the less nefarious but still very real problem was on the patron server, we actually ran out of chests. This just doesn't work for really large servers. So I'm gonna have to come up with a better solution, and I have a really cool one in mind. Fortunately, this was a project already started by Dr. Trog, and they left me some notes on the roof here. Okay, so it looks like they've set up some commands to store the player's UUID. Then there's some kind of interaction that they summon. It looks like, okay, that is right here. Okay, now if I push this, it was me. And then that, does this do it? I might have to play around with this for a second. Hold on. Commands, they're not making any sense. I mean, it's UUID after UUID after UUID, but how do you tie the inventory to the player? I mean, it's complicated. I need help. I know exactly what to do. I know exactly who to call. The blue man.
Let's go.
That's right, I called Hauziki. Now, instead of showing you guys our entire 2.5 hour recording of figuring out this problem, which I'm sure you're still a little confused as to what we're making. Don't worry, I'll explain it in a second. I'm just gonna show you a bunch of random clips from our debugging session, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so the shulkers are gonna be stored in here, right? So, okay, so this will never despawn, and somehow, how did you make it so you can't pick it up? I miss your voice. I miss hearing you talking. If the score matches 0, then it's gonna summon an item. So that score has to be 0. Now, the rest of this is actually pretty easy. Now we just need to load the chest with the shulker items on load. And then when it closes, we save the chest to the shulker. That's a really cool command that you posted. Oh, I miss you.
And why the heck didn't it work for me? Huh?
That's so weird. I don't know. Minecraft hates you.
It's in a different form. It's a different format.
Oh no.
So let's ditch the shulker.
Ooh, I miss you so much. I'm gonna punch you. What is this? Did you make a stick?
Yeah, I'm using sticks now.
It's 1 a.m. Muse. Give it a shot.
Okay. Wood. Hello.
Yep. Okay, now I'm gonna go in. Oh, look, those are my redstone torches. Now Muse is gonna go in. I miss your voice so much. Oh, I miss. Thank you. Okay, well, now I'm gonna go to bed, so I guess I'll pick this up tomorrow.
I have an idea to make it even better. Hi, F3 camera. Hi. I have an idea.
What?
We clear the chest when it's closed.
Oh, that's really smart. All right. Anyways, thank you. It's
now
I had one more idea.
What?
Stop it, please. I gotta go to bed. Please, just go. We're done. Goodbye. See you tomorrow. really hope you fix that problem soon. So yes, we finally have it. It is here. This one trapped chest acts as essentially an ender chest for just this dungeon. Whenever I open it up, my items are stored in there, and I can add new items to the chest as well. Now, it's important that we're using a trapped chest because we can use its redstone signal to, when it's open, run this row of commands, which essentially what that does is it checks to see if there is a stick that's dropped by the player opening the chest in this little cube, data storage cube here. If there isn't, then it makes one. And these sticks act as a sort of like local storage for players' entire chest inventories. If the player has a stick there, then it copies the custom data from the stick down into the chest here. And you notice when I open it up, there's a second where the items aren't there and then they flash in. That's it copying the item data from the stick. Then when the chest closes, we have an inverter on this redstone signal that runs a couple extra commands to save the chest data here up to my corresponding stick up there. And the reason we're using entities rather than Minecraft's built-in storage is because it's really easy to tie an entity to a player and go back and forth between that entity and the player who owns it. Now, I also have plans for an NPC who's going to be responsible for actually storing the player's item. But the thing is, I don't just want a villager with a head on it. I think we can do better. And so my plan is to use block displays. You know, these fancy looking things that you can scale and move around and do whatever you want with. I want to use these and I want to animate them to create a custom NPC. Now, essentially, this NPC is going to be a gelatinous ooze that players stick their items into. It was an idea that Trog gave me, and I think it's amazing. Now, the way I want to animate this ooze is I could either have a million commands that cause pieces of the ooze to rise up and down, or I can have each piece of the ooze synchronized to a different armor stand bobbing in this water stream. It is very low tech, but also it uses Minecraft's physics engine to help me with the animation. So what I've done is I've created each of these armor stands and linked them to a different piece of the ooze. And you know what? I think it's time for us to go downstairs and meet the guy himself. Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to introduce you to Glump.
Joey, friends.
Yeah, that's right, Glump. We're friends. That's right. Yeah. Now, if you notice his mouth, I made it so that when players get far enough away, his mouth goes into kind of like a frown. And then when you get close,
Glump hopes you find what you're looking for.
I just might find what I'm looking for, buddy. He might be one of my favorite NPCs. Oh, bless you. Bless you. Sorry, are you okay? The chest sticks out of Glump's side here, so players can see where it is, but you can also click directly through Glump to get to the trapped chest.
Glump is made of Glump.
Yeah, Glump is probably one of my favorite characters I've ever made. And you know, we have spent so much time on the Rosewood and Vilethorn quests today that I think we are going to have to save running the dungeon and fighting the boss for the next episode. So with that being said, Glump, do you want to say anything to the audience before we leave?
Shiny things make Glump jiggle.
Yeah, that's great, Glump. Good for you. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.